It sounds like, if I'm understanding you correctly, to really heal narcissism, and honestly to heal any fracture between one's parts and sort of the clouding of one's true self that God has designed, it requires opening yourself up to God's love and believing what is true about God, that he is love.
If there's one thing I want for people, is that they can embrace their identity as beloved little sons and daughters of God. And that is to not have to earn it. I was really successful in high school and college. I was 4.0 student, 2-sport athlete, academically really strong, a long sort of a list of credentials and achievements and so forth. And it was all an effort to try to become good enough to be loved. Good enough to be noticed, good enough. Like the fantasy is, if I only achieve enough, then I wouldn't have framed it quite this way, but then God would love me, or then I would be good enough to be loved. It was really more like good enough to be loved. Then I would get what I needed. And I think those kind of dynamics take on different forms in different kind of people, and they lead to different personality styles. If those styles become more extreme or hardened, we tend to see them as personality disorders. But I just believe that the personalities are just whatever parts tend to be on the surface most often, and it neglects the rest of the person. It's just what you typically see. So
it kind of sounds like you're saying, in a way, we all have the same personality. I mean, they say Jesus is the perfect, the perfection of all the temperaments, right? The more healthy you become, the more balanced your temperament becomes.
I think the more that we are integrated, and I think the vast majority of people are not integrated very well. I think it's a really exceptional thing. But I think the potential is there. Like, I think we can get there. But I think the more that you are able to connect with your parts, the better you will understand other people, and the more of a repertoire you'll have of ways of acting. So when I was able to get in touch with the part of me that carried fear, instead of just banishing that part, seeing that part as a threat, right? Because I don't want to, become prey, right? Because parts of me were caught back when situations were more dangerous. If I can connect with that part, if I can love that part, if I can appreciate that part, not only can I now start being courageous instead of just fearless, because courage is actually acknowledging the fear. It involves actually acknowledging the fear. But I can appreciate why other people might be afraid. I'm not threatened by other people being afraid, and so then, that just opens me up to be able to be gentle and soft and kind with other people who are, in various kinds of situations. And that's what I think we really need to be able to connect with our own parts, because there are parts of us that help us understand their counterparts in another person. And so when I'm in right relationship with my parts, when my innermost self is in right relationship with my parts, then those parts can contribute to the music. Then my trombone player can join in. Then my trumpeter can play in, but so can my piccolo player, and they're not drowning each other out, and they're not fighting, and so then I'm able to love the Lord my God with my whole heart, not just with the parts of me that happen to be on the surface, but with every fiber of my being. Ultimately, what I want is for us to be able to become love. I think that's what we're called to actually embody love. And that means like a radical acceptance of our own selves. That means a radical love of our own selves, so that we're free with the entirety of our being to love our neighbor and to love God. That's what I think we need to aspire to. I think that's really what motivates me. And so to have that start, we say that, charity begins at home. We tend to think about it in terms of the people around us. I'm going to take it even closer to home, right? To within ourselves. And so this isn't some sort of just self-absorbed, narcissistic navel gazing, put the cucumbers on my eyes and lie back and light the aromatherapy candles and pamper myself. It's really about a boot camp, it's really about being able to love myself so that I can love other people and love God. It's not something that's just self-indulgent. And that's where the narcissists really, really struggle. That's their particular weakness, is that they cannot love themselves because they won't look at themselves because they find themselves too threatening, the emptiness and so forth. And what happens is they wind up getting that confirmed when they interact with people in these negative ways that, that can even be exploitive. They get a lot of negative feedback, and it continues to perpetuate that cycle.